title of this poem is You Will Not Put Your Hands on Me. Simply because of the things I've been through in my life, I feel it necessary to put it out there to let people know that you don't have to settle for being abused or being just pressured into situations where you don't have to be. There we go. No, you will not put your hands on me, not one more again. It only happened one time, but let me set the scene for you this time. At the age of about 15, and a child in a broken home, a mother brought in a man that she barely even knew, told me that I would respect him and do what he told me to do. But I wasn't a fool. I seen this stage being played out time and time again. I stutter sometimes to think about the things that I could have done and how I could have ended up in prison for the rest of my life. But I thank God that He was there even when I stared into the night sky, wondering why this pain I had to feel and experience at one time. But I refused to just settle for being in that position. So He came at me, told me I would do what he told me to do and do what He said when He said it. My mother had told me to do something that I really didn't want to do, but because she was my mother, I obediently went to do what she had told me to do. His instruction was, "You're gonna do what I say, you mother effing fool." But again, I tell you, I'm not some Caucasian male that has been in these movies, because I have seen this scene played out many a times in the movies. Child gets abused by a man that he barely knows, and his mother even hasn't even known for more than a year. So I refuse to accept this as my lot in life. He hit me one time, and at the end of that was the last time, because I went and grabbed, I believe it was a 4.5 or a 9. I came back to lay waste to this man. I thought he would be putting his hands on me for the rest of my life. I had seen this scene play out in the movies countless times, and I refuse to have been a child of abuse that grew up to be a serial killer or something even worse. So I rehearsed it in my mind time after time, thinking that how I would hit him, how I would shoot him in his head, leave him for dead, tell him I knew I was going to jail, but I would just refuse to let this go on in my household. So after 15, I looked him in his eyes and told him I'd kill him. I told my mother if he ever puts his hand on me again, I'll kill him. If he puts his hands on my sisters, I'll kill him. If he puts his hands on you, I'll kill him. I realizing that this was the hatred that was stirring. It was a hatred that was stirring in me to the point where it would have destroyed me. Had it not been for the Lord who interceded on my behalf and brought me back to His path, I would have laid waste to that man, understanding that it would be captured. But in the end, I would have went up into the rapture when God came back, and I would not have been called His own. So He made a way out of no way, took this man from my place, and I told him that I was not the one to be abused, beaten on, or used like a punching bag, because I was no fool. So I told him if we had to duel, it would be a fight to the death, because I was refusing to give up my self-respect. So I told him that this would be the end of this. She looked me in my eyes and realized it wasn't a joke. It wasn't just idle words being spoken. I was never a killer nor a violent man by any means, but at the age of 15, it would have been the last any of you would have ever heard of me. But I thank God that He rescued me, kept me from making a foolish mistake that would have ended my life, and I would have never been able to see the beautiful night skies of freedom. I would have been trapped in this slavery to these things that I perceived to be freedom to me, but I realize now that wasn't God's plan for me. And I look back now at the past and where I was, and I look back now at the past and who I was, and I look back now at the past and who I could have become. And I thank God every day that He has rescued me from such a fate, and I thank God every day that He has given me a new life to live today. And I thank God that He has brought me along this path that He's allowed me to come to. There could have been no rescue. There could have been no freedom. There could have been no escape from the place in which I once would have held my hand, held my fate. But I thank God every day that He has set me free. No, He will not be putting His hands on me again, because God made a way when it seemed like there was none. He set me free when it seems like I would have been doomed to the captivity of living in sin, a murder in the heart and the mind. But I thank God that it was but that one time, because I refused to stand in line, refused to be a good old boy, refused to be a good little boy that gets abused years on end, until one day he finally snaps. And I thank God that looking back, that mistake wasn't allowed to happen. I thank God because only by His intervention was I able to avoid that life sentence, or even worse, the death penalty. I thank God every day that He has set me free. I spoke these words just to let you know that you're not alone in this, and you don't have to settle for this. You don't have to just continue to live in a situation what is neither beneficial for you spiritually, emotionally, or physically. Don't never let anyone put their hands on you, and by no means allow anyone to abuse you and to make you feel like you are less than because of the position that you are in life. I say this, and I say this with an earnest heart, Trust God and allow Him to move on your behalf, and He will take you out of that position where you are being used, abused, and taken advantage of. Just trust God and let Him have His way, and He will work in your favor. God bless you, and may God be with you in all that you say and do. Amen.